What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Ask Alex, where this is a show. I take all your questions and answer them here on my on this show. But today I have a really special interview. He was on my top 10 Blacks directors list. I thought I would never get a chance to interview him. He's one of my favorite directors, actors, content creators, teachers, everything that you can think of, Mr. Choice Skinner. How are you doing today, Mr. Choice?
Hey, love is love. Life is love. Everything's good. I'm here, right? We're here. That's all that matters, man. We woke up. We had another night that we lived through, and we're making it to another day. And I always look at it as it's another day to be able to create. It's another day to learn more about yourself and to also spread the love to others and to uplift the world, man. That's how I look at it. So thank you for having me on the show. First off.
Oh man, the pleasure is all mine. I am so happy. This is an interview I've been looking forward to for the last like 3 weeks, and like I honestly, you know, what's funny? When I put together this list, I wanted to do something unique, and I like I said, the first time I saw one of your videos or your films was when I was in college, and I saw Brotherly Love. That's the first time I've ever seen that iteration of it. And I was like, yo, I would love to reach out to him at some point, but I never like thought I could do it because I noticed like you have a huge following. So
Yeah.
the fact that I'm doing this is such a dream come true. So I just want to thank you for being on the show today. I really do appreciate it, man.
Well, like I said, you're absolutely welcome, and I appreciate you having me on the show. I mean, I woke up that morning. I had a really rough day. When you're working on so many different projects and you're working with a lot of people, I mean, right now, the main thing is I'm finishing my second feature film, which is Keep the Faith, and it got pushed back a lot of times because Black Lightning came in and we had to do that, and then we had Can, and so we had a couple of years of doing things where we had this other feature film that we had shot completely, and we had a quick screening of it, but we never completed it, and so it got pushed to the side. So now I'm doing that again, and now I'm working on a horror film. And so anyway, I had a whole bunch of things happening with some actors that kind of threw me for a loop. And then I was like, man, what a day. So I went to sleep, I woke up, and then I had that surprise and blessing to me that, somebody showed love in that capacity. It brought tears to my eyes, man. I mean, sometimes we don't realize how we're affecting people and how we're touching people. But then it goes back to what I always tell my actors, people are watching you and people are being blessed by what you're doing in the world. Like right now, somebody's being blessed by this situation between you and I, Alex. And I feel that that's huge, man. That's really huge. So thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. And thank you for putting me on your list. Like that in itself, I was I'll use the word flabbergasted, flabbergasted. I was taken aback. So yeah, thank you.
Anytime. Your work is amazing, and I think more people in Hollywood should definitely give you a chance. But for the people who don't know you, Choice, go ahead and introduce yourself, and tell us how you got started in acting/directing.
Okay, yeah. Well, my name is Troy Skinner. I went by James Skinner for many years in the music industry because that's where I started out my craftsmanship. I was a music producer. I was an artist at one point. I rapped. Don't look it up. I don't want you to find any of the old photos and the old stuff that I used to do. But anyway, past that, to the point where I moved to LA. I was moved to LA. I worked with an artist named Rome, who was a 90s double platinum artist for RCA. And we worked together on his second album, which never saw the light of day, unfortunately. And so then I had a choice of, I was either going to come back to Augusta, Georgia, where my family was at, or I was going to stay here in Los Angeles and make it happen. Well, for many years, I studied martial arts. And so I figured, well, hell, I can do stunts. And I got into doing extra work and doing stunts. And Art Camacho was my stunt teacher and coordinator. And he taught me about stunts. And he said, hey, man, you got all the moves. You're really good, but you suck. You need to learn how to act. And I was like, well, I never took stuff like that to heart. It was just like, okay, if I'm bad, let me get better. So, I went and took a acting course over at Bobby Chance Shaw, Expressions Unlimited. She was my one and only acting coach, and I studied with her for about 6 years. And I started booking a lot of TV roles, and would book some features, and realized that I was really good at it. I mean, I think when you work on a lot of things, I've always been the type where if you're going to work on something, work on it to change it. Don't just work on it to learn it. Learn it and work on it to change it, because I don't believe that you can master something. You can work towards mastery, but you'll die before you get there. But if you work on something with the objective of, I'm going to make this better, then that's a higher mindset in my thinking. And so, as an actor, I just wanted to be the best. So I studied really hard. I studied all the greats. I was already a little equipped because my mom made us watch a lot of movies when I was growing up as a kid. So she would rent like 9 movies over the weekend, VHS tapes, and we'd watch every movie. It didn't matter if it was horror, if it was action, drama, all of the movies in the 70s, 60s, 50s. She made sure that I knew who a lot of those people were. And so I was very equipped in the history of filmmaking. So it's kind of like I knew what acting was and I respected it, but my ideology of acting was different than the way the world saw acting. So my coach, in the first and the second year, she had to beat a lot of that out of me. And once I got equipped with understanding what acting really was, which is just, knowing yourself and picking up the lines and just saying it and showing up and being there for your scene partner and being there for the role, being there for the director, things moved a lot easier. So I would go into the audition room and I would book, and I had some great experiences, man, television shows and different things that I got to do. And from that, I segued into writing screenplays, because I saw that there was a lack of strong Black male characters. I always say that Hollywood is filled with agendas, which I firmly believe. There's a lot of agendas in this town, and we have personal agendas and we have high-minded agendas. And personally, we all have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And for me, when I make films and when I work on projects, it's all about having the world to see, Black men in particular in a specific light. Not that we're all just, gold teeth wearing thugs or, bad baby fathers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The way the world would see it is like, okay, we'll say, man, it's messed up to see a cop shoot a Black man, and then the world will throw it back on us and say, yeah, but you kill each other. And so that's their perception of who we are. And for me, as a filmmaker and as an actor, I was always like, well, no, I mean, I love my brothers. And that's where brotherly love came from. Because as an actor, when I was in the studio working, there wasn't a lot of scenes. I mean, I'd bring in scenes from like New Jack City or Boys in the Hood, you know what I mean? But there wasn't anything like brotherly love. So I wrote it. And that's how I got into writing, because I was like, well, if it doesn't exist, I'm going to write it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to help grow myself by using this material to help people to see Black people in a different light, Black men in particular. So from there, I went into producing, because I wanted to understand how films get made. I wanted to understand, all right, well, listen, I know that I'm a first-rate film actor. I'm going to show up. I'm willing to do the material that a lot of actors don't get to do. How do I get to make it? And one of the things that I can say to any actors that's watching today is, you have to understand that a lot of times the material is not there for you. You have to create it. And that's what I had to realize, because when I started acting, the people I looked up to was Denzel Washington. It was, Morgan Freeman. It was Cuba Gooding Jr. There was a select few. Now, I mean, there's a vast array of different types of actors. We could disagree or agree on their level of work, but at that time, it was mostly Denzel. It was like Denzel would come out with a movie twice a year, maybe, and then if it wasn't Denzel, then it was Tom Hanks or Anthony Hopkins, or, so we had Denzel to look up to. We had Andre Braugher and people like that, but Denzel was a box office name. He was a draw. And so I said to myself, well, how does this work out? Like, how does this happen where we only have select types of films that are being made? And so I started to learn the producing end. And I said, oh, okay, which helped me not to take it so serious on my acting. Because when you go in as an actor and you have, like, say, for instance, 10 pages of a scene, or 2 scenes, which equal 10 pages, and you go in and you're like, okay, I worked on this. Say, for instance, you get it Tuesday, your audition's Thursday, and you worked on it for 2 days. You focused on it, you worked on it, and then you go in and you don't get the part, and then you see that they gave it to a name actor or somebody that's just starting out, and they weren't even at the audition. Their agents worked it out. That's very upsetting, and it's hurting. It's very hurtful. And so I was like, okay, once I started understanding producing it changed my perspective of, oh, okay, don't take it so personal, because
Mm-hmm.
then I realized how Hollywood really worked, you see?
Mm-hmm.
So then that brought me into, okay, well, you know, as an actor slash writer director, I wrote a couple of screenplays that got bought, and you know, they never got published. I wrote some other screenplays that myself that I like a lot that never got published and never got made. And I was just like, man, you know, how do I get to this upper echelon? And through all of that, Alex, what I started realizing that there is no upper echelon. They're just groups of people that work together. So in essence, if you look at Ava DuVernay and Michael B. Jordan and Denzel and everybody that work together at the top, they are not competitive against each other because they know at being at the top, there's room for everybody there at the top. They can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Us at the bottom, we have to learn to be a collective and work together and stop looking at a place to go to and realize that it's just the difference between dollars and cents. They have more money to make bigger projects. We have no money to make projects. So how do we make our projects? Well, you know, I started looking at, man, let me look at a way of making content. Well, guess what? DSLRs came around. And so all of these projects that I had and all of these ideas of what I wanted and what I needed started coming about. And I said, well, let me learn how to use this camera. And I won Octavia Spencer's a Facebook challenge. She had a Facebook challenge where I had did a short called A Second Thought on an iPhone, right? It was on a Mother's Day. This is before people were doing it on an iPhone. So I was a YouTube graduate. I would just look at YouTube and I saw somebody talk about making a film on an iPhone. This was 6, 7 years ago. And so I said, maybe I can do that. You know, I had the iPhone 6 at that time or something like that. I think it was the 4S. It might have been the iPhone 4S. And so I asked some of my actors to get together on a Mother's Day. And so we rode the bus up and down, and that was our cost for the film. And it was for this project in Canada. It was about a PSA, public announcement type of thing, you know. And I said, well, at that time, HIV was still a serious topic, which I mean, it still is. But at that time, people were dying from it. They weren't really on medication and stuff. And it was like a death sentence if you had HIV. So when I made the short, we didn't win the competition in Canada, and so I was a little disgruntled about that because I was like, man, this was really good, and so I put it aside. And then Octavia Spencer had this Facebook challenge, and she was like, you know, post it on here, and if I like it, you'll win $1,000, a camera, a tripod, and you'll get to have your film screened in New York. And I was like, oh, what the hell? So I just posted it on there. I forgot all about it. I say maybe a month to 2 months later, I get a DM, a direct message on Facebook, and they were like, "Oh, you've won!" And I thought it was a scam. You know, you get a lot of these scams. You won. You've gotten this money and this and that. And I was like, "What is this?" And then I realized, oh, this is that Octavia Spencer Facebook challenge. And I was like, "Oh snap, I won!" You know, and it just that was around the time when I got the camera, and people were using DSLRs to start to make movies. And so then I said, well, man, if I'm able to use this and make this movie, then maybe I can start making projects. And so that's kind of how I became a content creator, because the technology opened it up to where you were able to do more. But I had did Brotherly Love in 2011. So that's 8 years ago. Like I had did that. And of course me, Farley Jackson was my best friend and one of my actors, and Sheldon A. Smith. We all got together and we just came out our own pockets, and we did a Kickstarter, and we shot 2 shorts in one weekend.
Oh
So
wow.
we figured, yeah, we figured. I mean, there's one that's not released yet, but I plan on one day just releasing it. But it's called Torment, and on Friday we shot Brotherly Love in one day, and then Saturday we shot Torment, and yeah, we got like about five grand, and we figured, well, hell, why don't we just go ahead and shoot both of these in one weekend? And we did. But Brotherly Love was the one that in 2011 we finished it. 2012 we had our festival run. Going into 2013 we won a crap load of awards. Um, And it showed me then that, okay, this is the way for me, you know, like, because as an actor going into auditions, I'm not good with that. Like, I don't like wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, and so, I mean, I don't mind the auditioning process. I mean, because I understand what it is. Like, I get it. But you have to know, and I say this in a lot of interviews, you have to know whether you're an auditioning actor or not. Like, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, some people, like, I don't get nervous anymore about anything. Like, I could be up in front of 20,000 people and I wouldn't be nervous. Auditions put pressure on people, which is what causes nervousness. So for me, it's a thing of like, all right, if I want to go in, I have to care about what I'm doing. And being that I've already created content, like I've done things, why should I have to go and stand in front of these people to prove that I can act? So it's kind of a jaded way of looking at it for me. Like, I don't say that for everybody. Like, I know actors who are amazing auditioning actors. They go in and they love it. I've never really been a competitive guy. I've always been a more pragmatic person. Like, okay, listen, I'm the right person for the role, but if you guys on the production end are working on getting your budget together and you need a name, a television name, or somebody up and coming, go that route because I'm ready to just work. I don't want to put up with, you know, 3 rounds and then y'all say, oh, okay, well, we had to go a different route. That's a waste of time. I could have made a short by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have put content together, or I could have gone out and done a photo shoot or something that's a little bit more hands-on and practical. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell, everything that I've done all the way up to this point. Oh, and then the acting class started because there was always in my mind a need for strong acting ability teaching other actors. So in essence, you have like a lot of books out, right? You have different books that are out that teach about acting. As an actor and as a man of color, there aren't many books that speak to me in my experience. So in essence, say for instance, like one of my favorite actors who I got to meet was Anthony Hopkins. I love him, right? He's amazing. One of my favorite films of all time, Silence of the Lambs. And I'm not going to have that opportunity as a young actor to go in and play Hannibal Lecter no time soon. I can write it, I can create the content and be in it, but I'm not going to have that opportunity. When am I going to have the chance for someone to audition me or hire me to play that type of character with all those colors? So what's available to me, okay, or if you look at someone like my example is Omar Epps or Mekhi Phifer, they were thugs who could cry. They played thugs for the first 5 years of their career. They were the tough city guys, right? And
Yeah.
they moved into playing roles of substance. Both of them played doctors, Mekhi on ER and Omar Epps on House. They substantiated themselves and they put themselves in a position of the world knowing that they were quality actors. But their career, or like Taraji P. Henson, she played Hood Rat 5 years, first 5 years of her career. What acting school is preparing people for that? You understand what I'm saying? So if I go into
Yeah.
acting studio and they're giving me Good Will Hunting, how is that preparing me to play Brotherly Love or
That's
to
so.
play New Jack City or to play, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized that there was a very weak component in the film industry when it came to preparing people of color in general. Because I mean, my class is multicultural. You know, people come to me, they're Latin, they're Asian, they're Scottish. I have all types of people in my class. It's multicultural. It's not like 90% black and then, everybody else. It varies because it's a rotating door on my class. People come and go. So there may be, 70% Caucasian at one point, 30%, this or that. But I prepare my actors for the roles that they're going out for now. And if you speak to any of them, they'll tell you, yeah, like Jason Woods or like Delon Holland, who, when they came to me, they're the most well-spoken, eloquent people I know. Their grammar is perfect, right? And they're men of color. And, they came to me wanting to be Daniel Day-Lewis. And it's like, yo, you got to learn how to put a do-rag on, have a
Mm-hmm.
toothpick, and hold that gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough for them in the beginning because that's not the acting studio mindset that they came from. But that's what they auditioned and booked.
Wow. Okay.
You
Wow.
understand?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
wow.
And so it, Sheldon A. Smith. I mean, he did Brotherly Love, right? And then the
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, his big role was in Straight Outta Compton playing Snoop Dogg. No,
Mm-hmm.
playing Warren G. He played Warren G.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That scene with Snoop Dogg in the studio, that was Sheldon. He studied with me for 3.5 years, almost 4.
Yo, that's crazy.
You see?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So it's all about understanding how the system works. It's nothing personal, it's business.
Mm-hmm.
It's business. I mean, they say we're 12% of the population. How the industry sees us is how we're going to work. It's different for a British actor. A British actor comes overseas to America, they go right into a major role after playing one small role to prove themselves. They go right into being leads of TV shows. I have actor friends who have been acting for 10 years. Someone like Kareem Grimes or Michael Thompson, who's in My Second Feature, who's been acting for almost 10 years. And these guys have had major roles and guest starring roles. They don't get considered for leads in major TV shows. So it's one of those things of understanding that. And as an acting coach, I'm able to have that conversation with them. And as an actor and a director, I'm able to help them to understand. It gives them a little bit more to keep going, Alex. The key to a great community is a community that substantiates and continues to motivate and populate actors and talent who know how to continue to move forward. That's the key. Like what we're doing right now, hopefully someone is learning something from what you and I are saying.
It's wow. It's very humbling that you say all that because when I was in college and I remember seeing Brotherly Love, and I remember in the behind the scenes video, I'm just paraphrasing. I remember you saying something of the nature, "You just got to do it." Yeah. And for me, like, because I went to school for film production, and my minor was theater, so I love the aspect of acting and theater, and I love like being behind the camera. I've been doing YouTube for a while, but I've been doing YouTube consistently like since 2015, 2016. But I love the aspects of just being behind the camera and editing and all the other stuff. But you said something very key just before, like there is no acting school that teaches people like me and you how to be those actors. Because it's funny, in college, you're learning the basic things in college, like Shakespeare, different theater people who've been doing this for like since the 1800s. But the funny thing about it was, it's like they never showed me how to play that thug or to play that upstanding person or whatever the case may be. And growing up, like you said, like it's funny. My family's from Georgia. Like I have family in Atlanta and Augusta. Like right now, we're embedded there. Like as far as Augusta, that's where they are. And then like I have some family here in Florida. And like it's funny that you said that. We didn't have cable growing up, so my mom would rent movies all the time. Like we would rent movies, we would get them from family members. And I remember as a kid growing up watching like the old Tim Burton Batman movies, and I used to say to my mom, where are the heroes that look like me? Like where are those people? And I remember, I'll never forget it. My mom rented this movie. It was a movie with I think Cuba Gooding Jr. was like when he was playing a sailor. I forget what it was called. And basically, it showed me how a black man, not a sailor, sorry, he was a fighter pilot. Sorry, but
no, is it Men of Honor?
Yeah, Men of Honor. Wait,
Men of Honor. Okay, yeah.
Men of Honor, Men of Honor. And
Tuskegee Airmen. It might have been Tuskegee Airmen.
It was
because he did too. He was a Navy diver and then he was an airman. So if he was an airman, it was Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah, it was an airman. It was an airman.
Yeah, Tuskegee.
I remember he died in that movie, and I remember I was like, my mom, like that's what I want to do. She was like, you want to be airman? I'm like, no, like I want to act. I want to be on TV. And like, I noticed like growing up, like there wasn't that thing. There wasn't that thing. So I noticed as I got older, you know, I went to some auditions where I was at. I was living in Pensacola, Florida, which is literally no opportunity for the things I'm interested in. But it taught me that I had to create those opportunities for myself. You know, I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to be in LA or New York anytime soon. And I noticed that as I got older, my mind started to mature where I was putting my money towards. A lot of people were putting their money towards, like, you know, the clothes, the cars, and all this other stuff. But me, I was like, okay, let me put 1,000 here for a new camera, then more 1,000 here for a new PC. And then, like you said, the DSRs were coming out. And I was like, I remember in college, I shot my very first 3-minute music video. And mind you, I'm spitballing. No one's taught me how to do this at all. And I did it, and I won an award. I won an award for just best feature music video. And
wow,
like,
congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
mind blowing.
Yeah, it like threw me off. So I remember in 2016, I shot my first short film, Static Shock the movie, and it was on my iPhone. It was on my iPhone 6, ironically. And like, mind you, I had limited equipment, and to this day, it's been out for almost 3 years, but it's like 2.5 years, and it has 66,000 views. And I've gotten so many opportunities to tell people what I should do, how I should do this, and how to cut and all this other stuff. And over time, I've gotten the right equipment that I need. Clearly, I'm in my studio now. You see the green screen and all that other good stuff. Where I
feels good, doesn't it?
It does. It does, because it's funny. Like I came from this to this, and it's like, yo, like, how did this happen? You know. So, and it's funny that you say that, because it's such a testimony for me, and I'm glad it's a testimony for you and your students as well. And I wanted to ask you, well, you pretty much nailed the trials and tribulations of how to get into this business, because you basically told us that. But you know, it's funny. I never thought that. I always thought the cliche thing outside looking in. You move to LA, you meet up with people, and then you instantly become a star. And clearly, as you stated before, that's not the case. You know, you have to create your own opportunity.
Yeah. Listen, I've been preaching this for the past year and a half. It's not hard to make it. You see, because making it is different for each individual. Some people, for them making it, for the majority of people, financial gain is making it. Like, if you make money, you've made it. I've arrived. I got money. For some people, the freedom to do whatever they want to do is making it. For some people, ending up on a red carpet and being the person to sit in the front row at a screening is making it. You know, everyone has a different ideology of what making it is. They all have a different perspective of what making it is. So for me, when I say that, listen, making it is not hard. It's not hard at all. It's sustaining that's really hard, because you have a constant tug of war with life and artistry. There's a constant tug of war. You have how you've been conditioned and how you've been reared and raised as a human being, from your family construct, from your community construct, what people expect of you, what you've witnessed, what you want. And then, you know, we as human beings, we're still kids. You know, we're like kids at a toy store, a candy store, or an ice cream shop. You know, we have our favorite ice cream. On the way there, we get there, we see something, we're like, oh, what's that? Well, let me get that instead. So that's how our minds work. So making it is not hard, because what it really takes in order to quote unquote make it in anything that you do is a thing of consistency and persistence. You don't quit, you'll get there. And that's life. Like, if you leave in A and you got to get to B, if you just keep going, eventually you're going to land on B. It doesn't matter how long it takes, you'll get there. But what I always tell people is, it's harder to keep it, because the work that it takes and the energy that it takes for you to get to that space is a lot of work and time and energy. It's a lot. Just like you said, for you to have that, now you got to get up every day after being exhausted for the time that it took for you to get to that. You have to get up every day and keep going. That takes more spirit and mental aptitude than it does physical. You see? Because those things are like, okay, well, what's next? You see?
Mm-hmm.
And even with actors, they'll tell you they're out of work. Actors are out of work. And that's why I always say I train actors that are A-list. A-list actors work when they want to work. Julia Roberts had twins. She took 7 years off. She came back when she was ready. You see?
Yeah.
See? So, but she's an A-list actor. She had already substantiated herself and made herself such an icon to where she could do that. And the industry still needs her in a sense, you see? And that's what people have to understand. How do you fit into this? Because once you figure that out, are you a content creator, or are you just such a celebrity or such a character of a person that people stop and listen to you every time you say something? You know, how do you fill the gap? How do you fill the gap? How do you fit into the scope of things? And so that's what I'm always telling people is like, a lot of people think, well, listen, now it's more about competition than it's ever been because of social media. It used to be a point where your talent really mattered. But I mean, you can have the most untalented person who has just a spark of interest in something that other people find interesting. And if they're willing to get up every day and do it, it could popularize them over you, even if you're tremendously talented. You can be the best singer, you can be the best dancer, you can be the best actor. It doesn't matter. If you don't have that work ethic that other person has, they'll dwarf you.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube page to get more exclusive content coming from my YouTube channel. And if you want to watch my previous videos, go ahead and click on this video up here or this video down here, where you get to see more exclusive content coming from my channel. Thank you guys for watching this video, and you guys have a blessed day.